In this video, my name is Alex Hazard. I'll be teaching you about Saturn's moon Titan. Now this moon is the only moon with a thick atmosphere, with low lightness, and with shielded radiation. Now this planet is most famous for its low gravity and its low gravitational pull, despite the extreme cold temperatures. And this is the main preview of planet which you can see here. And the people used to talk about this because people are interested as well when it will be colonized by humans by the end of this century and this next 22nd century. And the most famous part of this is the photo by the Huygens probe on the 30th of November 2025. And it has been around this planet since 2005, when it flies from the Earth aerospace, to this planet. It looks like a planet, but it's a moon, not a planet. And the most famous part, again, is the nickname called the early Earth. It is more like Mars, but it's still quite different from Earth and Mars because it has the orange haze, lakey surfaces, and water and methane, nitrogen. All of this is completely different from Mars and Earth. Now this temperature, however, is very extremely cold, about minus 179 degrees Celsius. If you even choose to swim in this lake, then you'll suffer from immediate flash freezing, and you will have no way to escape out from these lakes. It will be pitch black, brownish, which you'll find in the next part of this video. There is nitrogen and methane. Now that is pretty much more toxic for our lungs to inhale. That is extremely dangerous for us to breathe. The same with hydrogen and helium, and you'll suffocate, risking that yourself when you breathe at end. And the most part of this toxic planet, the moon, despite its gentle and low risk feel, it has the very low temperatures and the very low chances of being oxygenated from a normal lungs for a human for breathe. The main part of this surface is like when you walk into it, you find that those are muds of dust and mountains. I think that those are its water and etc. You cannot drink water like you would. I'll show you in the next scene. The next picture is because when you first drink water, you'll find that the air is very hostile, and the water is much more dangerous for your lungs to inhale, and so I think as well. And if you ever plan to exhale after you inhaled it, the bloodstream will suck out all of your oxygen from your lungs, and that's going to be much more dangerous because of the lack of oxygen. And the planet also has high levels of concentration from methane and nitrogen. Kraken Mare, the deepest lake in Titan. And this is the deepest lake in Titan, covering about 100 meters per down depth, and it's also the most dangerous ever to swim. And if you deep dive in this methane and ethane 179 degrees Celsius fields, the lake, then you will have no choice to escape this lake, and you will find yourself ending up stuck and beside in the lake. One benefit of which I missed is in this video is that the benefit of this hydrogen is part of Jupiter to Saturn and Uranus. We are talking about Titan, not about our planets. Now the main benefit of nitrogen is the nitrogen rich is much more beneficial with abundant resources. The reason why astronauts will plan to extract water and make other things, cereals, etc. from nitrogen is because of its abundant resources, and it has the thick shielding from radiation, and it covers 90% of sunlight in its covered orange thick haze. And you can see here this is covered in low visibility, and you cannot adapt the low visibility when you are long used to the bright sun of the Earth when it was in Titan. Then that's how it is. And the ambient scenery is much more beautiful in Titan, as you can see here, but it's very much more like hostile for us to live and live as well. Now I've covered the main benefits of nitrogen-rich and ambient abundant resources of Titan. Now the most famous part, again, the third famous part, is what will happen if you swim and fly in Titan. Now when you swim and fly in Titan, first we'll talk about swimming, then we'll talk about flying on this moon. It's a small planet. I'm still saying this because it's like a small planet. It's the most only moon known to have a thick atmosphere and lakes inside of it, etc. And when you swim in Titan, you will find the most particularly bizarre that you are swimming in a deep, very shallowy ending of the pool. And you can see here those black bits, thin like paper bits, is like the surface, and that's why it is like. Now if you fly, you can flap your wings on your shoulder, then you can fly anything you like. The most famous bit you can do is you can fly a plane in this planet. Not the planet. What I'm saying, the word planet is the word moon of the moon of Saturn with the thick atmosphere and low gravity. Now its gravitational pull is 0.014 degrees, 14 G, and it can feel ultra light and ultra smooth, ultra thin, and bone and a heart of thin like paper thin. And you can see here, if you lived, for example, if you lived on this land here and you was much used to it for 24 years, as an example, then returning to Earth is much more dangerous rather than the smooth transition like people from Mars do. It's far more worse than that, because the physics of Titan is much more extreme rather than the Mars to Earth return, which is much more smoother and safer. And the lakes is very cold, around minus 179 degrees Celsius. But other reports say that the report of the one with temperature range is minus 180 degrees Celsius in other reports. But the general on the reports is minus 179 degrees Celsius. And you can see here, look, the lake is kind of pitch black and pitch brown, even that. And it is a cold, lonely environment where you cannot, and even your bodies, your family, friends, etc., even that, cannot assist you to swim on the planet Titan, because it could be vastly dangerous and more, death increasing chances. And this picture is much more beautiful as well because of the night sky, and you can see here the night sky is much more gloomier. But again, gloomy is not meaning it's bad. Instead, gloomy means the word gloomy means it's no longer bad, it is just a sight. For example, when you describe a sky as a gloomy, it means that the sky is beautiful and ambient. That is meaning of gloomy, another meaning. That's why I should please try to understand that word, please adjust that the word gloomy also means that it's beautiful and ambient as well, rather than this bad and this mean. Okay, then that's why please, my viewers or other people who are watching this video, he was not extreme to the new gloom meaning, please listen to this speech. Now we're moving on to low gravity. The low gravity is the most famous and most recognizable part of Titan. Flying airplanes are also the most easiest part to do in Titan, okay? And when you are going to be flying the airplane like a pilot in Titan, then you still need to ensure that your passengers, although not patients, can get a oxygen mask ready with a heavy insulated spacesuit, with an oxygen tank, and with well-heated, thermalized aeroplane environment with massive internal heaters in order to thrive and settle for passengers in the aeroplane. And that's quite compulsory, that's very compulsory. The same as like going to school, it's compulsory. The same is like having thermal, heated and oxygenated, heavy insulated environment is also very compulsory as well, especially in the Moon Titan. And you can fly with strapping your wings inside your back, across your shoulders, that you can fly in the Titan sky. The most famous part is that you can also enter and exit Titan more safely and gently entering and exiting the atmosphere of Titan, because it's much more low in gravity and it's much more gentle and calm in the Moon Titan. And in general, we need to have a spacesuit with an oxygen tank and the oxygen mask, robust, reliable, and compatible with your lungs. But it can work in every people's lungs. It can. It cannot be incompatible with every people's lungs. It can be simply compatible with all of the lungs of people. Now this is the map, and this is how the map looks like. With Nordpol, Pongomos, Mare, Liga, channel followers with 500 kilometers to etc. This is the adaptation of low light to Titan. Now even one of the cameras usually click and shutter the images while taking a single photo, and more photos you can find in the internet about Titan is taken about a brightness view of the camera. And you can see here, when you are used to the low light, you cannot be actually used to the bright light. And if you are used to bright light as a low light person, then you find yourself massive disorientation, and you need to low light as well in order to make you feel happy.